What's up, YouTube? This is the second part of my Krokotopia questing journey, leveling up to level 30 on my balance account type thing. And I'm going to be speaking to the assistant right now. In this video, I decided I'm going to talk about my opinion on what the best school is. You may not agree with it, and that's fine. Well, I'll be talking about the two types of things, because I'll be talking about the school that's best for questing wise, and the best school for PvP. So I'll just get this out of the way. In my opinion, the best school for questing would have to be either Storm, or I would say Death. Except, like, every boss is a death in this game. Like, my friend is a death, and I feel bad for him because, like, every boss is death, so he has to put in life, death to life converts all the time. So, yeah, I'm just gonna turn off the dialogue because I don't really want that interfering. You're to help me find a way inside, okay. But, so yeah, and Storm, I put Storm in there because, just they have some of the best damage in this game, and although they do fizzle a lot in the earlier levels, I would say the pros outweigh the cons there, and, the damage is usually high enough to, like, kill early. Plus they get Wild Bolt at a pretty early level, which probably makes, like, if they get lucky, it makes questing easier. And put Death there just simply because they have spells that, you know, give their health back when they do damage. Okay, and for PvP, if you're going to be competitive, you know, you're gonna do PvP, tournament, whatever, I'm going to go through all the schools and decide which I think is currently the best. So, starting with Fire. Fire has a few unique characteristics. Their signature spell, if you will, I would say is Efreet. I've never been sure how to pronounce that. But, you know, it does a good amount of damage, 8 pips, puts a minus 90 on, so you're pretty much stuck if you don't, like, have a wand spell or something to get that off. And, like, if they play their cards right and you're not defeated by that spell, they could just, you know, do something small and finish you off. So that's what they usually like to use. They have a lot of overtimes, which is interesting. I guess I would say they give fire overtimes to represent, like, a fire burning kind of thing. I don't know, just a little thought on that. And fire's an overall around decent school. You know, they could go pretty good in any stat they put their mind to. So, you know, it's one of the better schools, not the best in my opinion though. And Ice. Ice is known for having big health and usually big resist, although I have been seeing more and more Ice go critical, and when they do, they just whoop me that I'm gone on my myth account. But they have a good range of spells. They have some overtimes. You know, they have that Winter Moon they like to use. They got Lord of Winter. They got all these different spells. Some spells that, you know, just do damage. All these different types of spells. And I think they're a good school. They're like one of the better schools. They can tank. If they have a life mastery with all their health and good incoming, they're really hard to defeat. Unless you're like a level, you know, 90 and you got Shadow Strike. But even still, it's difficult to, find that and play your cards right. Ice have always been a struggle in PvP for me. I always have a hard time defeating them. I usually lose to them. So they're one of the better schools, in my opinion. And next is Storm. Now, Storm is pretty much like this all-out damage school, right? They got a tiny amount of health. They usually if you're Storm, you don't really go for resist because, you got this small amount of health. But, like, if they go for damage and critical, they could, like, just wild bolt critical you first turn, you're done. If you don't really have block or resist, like I don't on my mythic account. Storm is a very offensive school. They are good. A lot of people, though, like, they anticipate Storm and Fire, kind of, so they kind of, like, well, Balance, for example, their gear is more shifted towards, Fire and Storm resist, which is a plus for them, because Fire and Storm and Ice, I guess Ice too, are some of the better schools. And I know on my myth account I crafted the amulet, no, not the amulet, sorry, the ring that gives block to Fire and Storm in Chrysalis, because those are some of the schools that critical more often and are more challenging for me. So more people, they kind of resist against Storm and Fire, making them not as, they're still good schools, right? But people have, like, a lot of players have kind of just developed these defenses against them. The next school I'll be talking about is my own school, Myth. Now, Myth you can pretty much play however you want. It's an all-around school once again, most of the time. You could get decent attack, resist, critical, I guess. For me, I go damage and critical. Myth gear seems to be more shifted toward, well, at least at higher levels, more shifted towards damage than critical. And I try to use that to my advantage, although I haven't been getting through a lot of block. At the earlier levels, they get a minion they get golem minion pretty early, which is, I still use that to this day. Level 100, I'm still using golem minion to, like, break shields. So, it's 0 pips, so that's cool. Myth is best known, I would say, for Medusa. When you verse a Myth, you kind of just anticipate, you keep worrying about the Medusa. Like, when's he gonna Medusa? Because it does a decent amount of damage, and it gets the double stun. You're stunned for 2 rounds if you don't have a stun block on or something, which is very, especially in this age of PvP, for higher levels, that's very damaging, I guess. That's not good, because the PvP battles are so fast-paced. Myth is an alright school. Not the best, I would say. They don't have their own heal, which has been annoying me. Like, every school has some sort of way of healing themselves with their own thing, their own, type spell, except for Myth. And Myth doesn't have the best, like, most damaging AoE spells. Earthquake is good, like, it's really good. It gets rid of everything on the enemy. Charms and shields, all of that. So that's a definitely good spell. But other than that, Myth is alright. The next school I'll be talking about is Life. Now, you rarely see Life, okay? There are not a lot of Lives around. And, Life is obviously known for healing. They're usually healers. You know, that they could go damage if they wanted to. They could go resist. They do usually go resist, and they are in 4v4s especially. They are useful. In 1v1s, it's harder for them, I would say, because they don't have the best like attacking spells. They do have all the heals, but attacking wise, you know, their damage is usually not that high. Their initial damage on their spells is usually not that high. You know, they have if you're versing a Jade life or something, those are a pain because it's like they have high resist and they can heal all the time, so it's hard to defeat them. But if you have patience in PvP, you can go for Ice or Life, I guess. The next school, what else is there? Death. Now, having a friend who is a level 100 Death on here, you know, the friend that got me into this game originally, he has mixed feelings on Death. He does not exactly love it, okay? His biggest complaints are that they can't do like enough damage or something. They don't have the best spells. Now they have absorb. You know, when you attack, like with spells like Vampire, you get half health back, which sounds really useful if you ask me. But you know, the damage on those spells is kind of low, which makes them a little bit at a disadvantage. But they do get healed when they attack. And with spells like, you know, Bad Juju is good, Beguile is good. They got their fair share of just kind of mess with the opponent's type spells. And for PvP, Death is decent. You know, I usually have a pretty good match with them. It can go either way. I win, they win. It's usually half and half. They're all around average, I would say. They're around like Myth and I guess Life. All the Spirit schools are kind of just in the middle somewhere on the best schools in this game. And the final school is Balance. Now this, in my opinion, is currently the best school in Wizard101. And that is because they have all these utilities. Not exactly utility spells, but they have all these spells that do these different effects that just prove to be very useful. You know, they get Mander Minion at a pretty early level, which could just completely mess with your day. Weakness, Black Mantle, it could do all that. Yeah, and weaknessing and Black Mantling, they have, what else? Judgment at level 28. I know that's a problem for a lot of players. What else do they have? Mana Burn. Now, Mana Burn at high level, especially if they go first, it's really hard to get around because for 5 pips it does good damage. It does damage based on how many pips you have, and it will burn, you know, it could burn like up to 6 pips, I think, like if you have all power pips. So that's very harmful if you don't like get an attack in. There are ways to counter it, like if they're going first, say you have like 8 pips, they use it, but then you use like an 8 pip spell, you'll still be able to use it, thankfully, but it's just difficult to get around. And then Lore Master, a lot of them use now, which is, you know, the crafted spell that you could get from, I guess, Lore Master, or from crafting, and it does really decent damage for 4 pips. It puts a small Black Mantle on, and a weakness, small weakness. But they could just use that the whole battle and beat me. Like, I can never beat a balance in PvP. I can't say never because I've beaten them like a few times, but for the most part, I cannot beat them. Even though, you know, they usually have like armor that helps them against the elemental schools more. So for those reasons, I'm going to have to say Balance is the best school. I'll just give you the top 3 schools. Balance at number 1. Ice at number 2, just because of their health and, you know, their ability to just stay alive and get damage in and all that. And then for number 3, yeah, I can't really say. You know what? I'm going to open that up. You guys in the comments out there, you give me your opinions on what the number 3 school should be, or what the best school should be. If you don't agree with these opinions, that is fine. You could just leave your thoughts down below. If you like the video, leave a like. If you really like the video, you know, you can subscribe, but only if you want to. That's it. This has probably been a very long video, and if you've bared with me this whole time, thank you, and I'll see you guys later.